All right, welcome back to another stream. We are okay. That's already not a good sign. We're we are continuing with some Saint speedrunning. I have some mods enabled that removes creatures to make just to make practice easier. So yeah, we're just going to be doing this, but I think more importantly for this stream, other than just speedrunning, I've changed a bunch of settings with OBS and the way that the stream is set up, so hopefully that means that we won't have as many issues. Although OBS tells me that it has already dropped 14 frames, so a pretty insignificant amount, but hopefully that's not a sign that it's going to get worse. But for this room, I think it's actually better to just go around that, because we struggle to get into that gap. So yeah, just like, if you ever notice any issues with the stream, do let me know. I will be checking up on that semi-frequently, so I may be a little distracted from the actual game. Popcorn plant. So actually, I don't know if I do have a lantern in my stomach still. I'll probably get reset if well, at the end of a run, I should still have it in my stomach anyway. Okay, it has dropped more frames. It's not very many though. So I mean, as long as it doesn't like drop frames for a long time, I don't know. I may also just reset the stream a few times in the middle to change settings around if what I did is making it worse. So, a bit of clarification on what I'm doing here. This is a story percent room, which means collecting echoes to max out my karma, as well as visiting the iterators. That is what differentiates story percent from any percent. I have done any percent before, and I actually prefer it, but I think most people will see story percent as the main Saint category, so I should probably also run this. And this run is kind of unique compared to you know what? I immediately forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, it's unique to other speedruns in a slight way in that movement is very flexible. It's very versatile. For most other speedruns, you kind of learn some specific routes, some movement to do in which rooms, like do a slide here, do a wall jump here and there. But the grapple hook ability that the Saint has, it's so like flexible that you can't like plan a specific route for what to grapple to and where to swing and stuff, because it varies a lot. So I think just practicing the run a lot and getting familiar with the movement is probably the best thing to do. Because in a normal speedrun, you can like practice a specific room to learn like where you should do a slide, where you should do whatever movement. But for this, it's just about getting really comfortable with the grapple mechanic, as well as just other movement stuff, because you're not always going to be grappling. So for this room, I should probably delay that by doing an extended slide there, delay it so that I can make this jump. Yeah. And yes, I have creatures disabled. Although, I may want to enable creatures partway through the stream, because it's important to practice with both of them. But, as I said with the movement, I really just want to focus on getting really good at the movement and using grappling well. And once I feel more familiar with the movement, or comfortable with it, I will be able to focus on doing attempts with the creatures. Although there are parts of the run where the no creatures mod actually doesn't work. Probably because of something weird with Downpour. It's specifically in Silent Construct, where creature spawns work normally. Probably just go this way. So once I get to that region, it will pretty much just be a normal run. Creatures will still be there. It is unfortunate, but the mod that I have isn't like the greatest for what I'm actually using it for. Catfish, for example, for some reason just completely ignore the mod. Some like DLLs or like other creatures that are kind of part of the environment and not exactly just like creatures that don't move around too much, I guess I should say. They tend to not get affected by this mod either. But this is just the first mod that I found that actually does what I was looking for, so that's what I'm using. There may be another mod that does exactly what I want it to do, but even better than the mod that I'm using. I'm gonna do a bit of a swing there to get some momentum going. Okay, also for this run, I'm considering turning off wall bounces since they actually kind of get in the way when you're swinging around. Similarly to Artificer. And I'm not sure if there's any places where wall bounces are actually useful. I should also keep track of that in this run if I ever find a good place to use wall bounces. I've had a lot of fun in Rivulet. With Rivulet, I'm trying to find places to do wall bounces, but that was Rivulet, you know? Also, it's still dropping frames, but very infrequently. I think the way the mod works is that it takes any den, any like creature spawn den, and just replaces it with nothing. So if a creature doesn't spawn from a den, then it isn't affected. So right here, you would normally find a Yeek. Is why I have this mod enabled. Spawn one in. There is an alternate strategy you can take here, which is to find a better way to do this. That seems to work out. If in the previous Saints run, also cursor, hold on. The item that's in your stomach when you ascend, or I guess when you try to ascend, it stays with you in the next run. So you can bring any item you want into a speedrun. And I have a lantern on my stomach. That's where it came from, which is not that helpful because there's a lantern like right in the starting area that you can pick up anyway. So it only saves maybe like about a second of like going to pick that up. But I think you know, having a lantern is like really helpful for this run because you pretty much never die to the cold. Although I don't know if you could get by with not having a lantern. But pretty much the only other item that even seems useful at all. Also here you can see that deer aren't affected because they just like come from the sides of the room instead of from a den. But you can actually, it's in this room right here, that like pipe down there, that brings you to this underwater section that skips all the worm grass. And if you bring a bubble fruit or bubble weed from the previous run, you can go through that section. Although it feels kind of slow, and some of the swimming areas are like obscured by foreground so it's kind of hard to see what you're doing. And it feels kind of slow because jumping across this with the Yeek is pretty fast. A lot faster than using Deer. So, and I've been told that this is faster, so. I also think that it's more, it's better for new players. I mean, new speedrunners. I don't know if there's many people who are interested in speedrunning Saint. I would recommend it. It's a really fun category, but if you're a new runner, you probably don't want to have to do an entire run just to get a bubble weed in your stomach before you can actually do an attempt. So it's much easier just to forget about that. Just bring a lantern with you and then take this top route with the Yeek. This is also a lot easier with the fast roll button since, well, if you're holding down when you're holding a Yeek, then it won't do a big jump. And you also have to hold down to do a roll normally, right? So if I'm holding down here, it's not going to do that jump, although then I'm kind of like crouching and it's slow. But if you don't time it correctly, then you won't do the big jump and you'll get stuck in the worm grass. So using fast rolls means that you don't have to press down at all. I really don't know which one is faster. That's probably actually, you know, let's go to the other one. I mean, hesitating there is slower, of course, but I think taking the other gate is, or the other shelter is faster because when you go to get the echo, you don't have to go back through the gate. If you stay in this shelter, you have to go through the gate once to get the echo, and then once again to continue through to go to Subterranean. I guess that's the same, right? If you go to the other one, you have to go past it once, then back through it another time to get back to farm raise. So maybe they're both the same, and this one would be slower since you have to go further. Yeah, you need the Yeek anyway to go back to the other echoes, so you might as well bring it the whole way through. But there are Yeeks by this shelter. Not this shelter, but the one before the gate. Oh, okay. That doesn't really change anything. You just grab this echo first. It's still dropping frames. But not too many. Like it drops like a few for like a second, and then it's fine. Story percent, yes, this is story percent. I think maybe you've held the world record for a bit too long. So I'm going for this category now. I've already done 80%, which that category can also be improved a lot. Oh, the story world records, pretty much. I think it's totally possible. I got pretty close on Spearmaster with 2 deaths. So a deathless Spearmaster run would be pretty close to world record, if I even know what the world record is, because I don't know if anyone actually knows, and the leaderboards aren't very up to date. And then for Artificer, I would have had world record like twice, but I died to the Scav King, or in the Scav King arena. I think I've died to that area twice. I'll probably do another stream doing Artificer attempts. it's just like a kind of demotivating category because, you know, there's like a 50% chance that you die to the last 2 rooms of the run. So you either die at the very beginning. Okay, well, my strategy for Artificer is to grab a Vulture Mask in Garbage Wastes, and then take a shelter in the wall, and then like no shelters after that. Which means that if I die to the end, I can't continue the run. Not like it would be very fast anyway. So you lose about half of the runs in Garbage Waste, or actually probably more than half the runs, but you die a whole lot in Garbage Waste trying to get the mask in the first place. And then you probably are going to die at the end if you actually make it all the way to Metropolis. Also, I should point out that I have a mod enabled that disables creatures. Most creatures, as you can see, the DR are still here, but most creatures that spawn from a den are removed. That's because I just want to focus on practicing movement. So this is not a real attempt. Cheating. I mean, I don't see anyone else doing this to practice speedruns. Unless you're not doing it on stream. Of course, I wouldn't know then, but I really recommend this for any speedrun, really. I mean, for like Artificer, for example, you're always going to be dealing with creatures. So it's kind of unrealistic to do a run without creatures, especially since you need a scavenger anyway to get past the gates. And like the pull at the end and the Scav King, all of those are dealing with creatures, so it's probably best to practice with creatures enabled all the time. But for this run, for example, there's big stretches of the run where you don't run into any creatures at all. And it's good to be really familiar with the movement in those sections. Of course, creatures are important in some areas like Subterranean and Silent Construct. It's dropping more frames. I don't know if that's a problem with the settings that I changed or if it's just because of my internet. Okay. Actually, it'd probably be a good idea to eat those popcorn plants. I just didn't react to it very fast. Also, that's a really bizarre thing that I've seen happen sometimes, where a popcorn plant opens at the beginning of a cycle. I've seen it happen before. Pretty inconsistent. Yeah, the main reason in a run where you might die to creatures at any point, it usually means that you're not going to get to the end of the run very often. Because most attempts are going to end because of some creature death. If you get rid of creatures, there's a much higher chance that you can actually make it to the end of the run, which means that you'll be practicing the entire run about equally, instead of like mostly just practicing the very beginning. That's one of the big reasons. This room, for example, there's usually a ton of creatures here. Scavengers, spiders, centipedes, just a whole mess. So this is very unrealistic to see this area completely empty. So I'm just wondering, has the stream been kind of inconsistent? Like, have you noticed that it's been lagging a lot? Or freezing up? And like, if the quality is dropping, or also if you can like still hear me talking? this stream is partially a test for if I changed a bunch of settings around that I was trying to make the stream work better. Stream has been fine so far, because I've noticed it says that it dropped a bunch of frames. Unless you just didn't notice when it happened. Going undergrowth? Yeah, there's an echo here. It says that it's dropped about 1,000 frames. So almost like a minute is just missing from this stream so far. And I guess if that minute has been spread out across this whole time, that it's only like a few seconds every once in a while, right? But that's still quite annoying, and I would like to avoid that. But it's also better if it's not like freezing up entirely for like several seconds at a time. Not nearly as bad as the last few streams. Hit the cup in that room. Maybe I can like grapple up, well not up there, but like do that, except then I think I did a wall jump. Maybe I need to hold up instead of any other direction. I guess that worked out. That's not a very consistent little bit right there. Student past echoes. Well, I'm immediately leaving this room. This area is also quite annoying to leave. There's usually a centipede guarding this pipe right here. And of course, Saint isn't very well equipped for dealing with centipedes, especially in that confined space. And so that all deaths run, I think that's what I'm gonna plan for next stream. I'm still very interested in that idea. I don't know if I want to do the routing off stream and then like do the stream with the plan in mind, or if I want to do the stream where I plan everything out and then after that I do real attempts. These gooey ducks right here could be quite annoying since there's usually Miros birds in this area. You can just hold on to them and wait for a safer idea too. What's the all deaths run? So basically, someone came up with an idea. I forgot who said it. But basically just dying to every creature. We got some spinning. It's a speedrun where you try to die to every creature. And it's very interesting since basically routing out a path to meet every creature in the run or in the game, which means they also have to play different characters. I think at the very minimum you'd have to play Spearmaster, Gourmand, and Saint. Unless there's something else that I'm forgetting. And Artificer. So maybe Artificer instead of Spearmaster. But also there's a chance that other characters would be useful. Like, for example, Survivor starts right next to... Or they start in Outskirts, right? And it's only their Outskirts and, like, Monk, I suppose. But it's that Outskirts that has, like, green lizards. And pink lizards, which are actually quite rare in some of the other campaigns. So you need to, like, figure out which characters are the fastest for seeing all the creatures. Plus, the actual dying to the creature part is interesting. Because if you die, you'll be sent back to a shelter, which means that you basically want to pick shelters that are good hubs for dying to multiple creatures surrounding that shelter. Not called playing the game as normal. Maybe for Big Jelly. Saints can also see the big jellyfish. Also, I think you would have to include an entire Saint story percent run, because you need to get to Rubicon to die to a firebug. And if you're going to go, since you have to go to Moon, get the Echo, that's about when you would want to get the Ascension ability, so you could easily get down into Zimmer. Actually, no, forget Zimmer structure. There's plenty of jellyfish in Shoreline. Yeah, that would be pretty easy. Also, you need to play Gourmand for the Hunter Longlegs. So I think we would have it so that you have to set up a save file for Hunter to die somewhere close to Gourmand spawn. I already have that set up, by the way. There's already a Hunter Longlegs right next to the starting area. But that is a slight barrier of entry, but we consider the possibility of setting up save files in advance, so that, like, certain characters are in good positions to die to certain creatures. But I think we don't want to include that in the actual run, because then in order to do an attempt, you would have to set up every single save file in a specific location. I guess you could make a save file and just, like, load that in before an attempt, but that's also kind of annoying. And the Hunter Longlegs always stays there, even if you reset, like, Gourmand's save file. The Hunter Longlegs will always be in that location. I hope you guys can still hear me. It's kind of lagging, right? It's like low frame rate. Can you guys still hear the audio fine? It seems like it's just like low frame rate. Like, it's not like freezing up, it's just like a bit laggy. I guess it's better than the game freezing completely. As long as audio is fine, that's like a lot better than it completely buffering. Also for this all deaths thing, it's just the creatures. So every creature in the game we would want to die to, not including, well, actually, what did we say for, like, environmental hazards? Would we count Wormgrass? So not dying to, like, every possible thing, just dying to creatures and maybe a few extra things depending on what we decide on. I think we're I'd love to count Pebbles as a creature, personally. But I also understand that it would be quite a detour to go all the way out of your way to, like, do a Pebbles percent run, essentially. And like Wormgrass wouldn't be that hard to get if you're in farm raids for whatever reason. Hunter starts in farm raise, so you'd be able to like. Well, actually, no, you can't do that because you'd have your save file set up so that Hunter would be dead, right? It wouldn't be. No. Saints. I don't need to go up there. In the Saint campaign, you want to go to the farm raise echo at some point, so you could also just like. Yeah, we go to farm raise, so you could just die to Wormgrass once. It would not be that difficult. Yeek death. So, I think we're only counting creatures that can like try to attack you intentionally. But maybe that should also have the capacity to kill you. Like Squidcada attack you, but they can't kill you on their own. I don't know if we'd want to count like pushing you off into a pit as a death from a Squidcada. Want to stay next to the ceiling. But like a baby centipede can't kill you. But it does attack you. It does try to shock you, right? But if you're grabbed by a jungle leech and a centipede shocks you, it will kill you. So should we count that as a death to a centipede? Or a death to a baby centipede? Or since they normally can't kill you, we shouldn't count them at all? These are the kind of things we're wondering about. Or like not saints, snails. Because they normally can't kill you, but as saints they injure you, which makes it very easy to drown, right? So if your creature does something to you, which then causes you to die to for some other reason, should that count as a death? Kind of, because it's funny. Maybe we should count whatever is like best for the run. Like if you have to like, I know that there's jungle leeches and centipedes somewhere in Outer Expanse, but unless there's like another location, that'd kind of be a huge pain to go all the way over to Outer Expanse just for that one creature. So if it's like really inconvenient for the run, then we may want to like not include some creatures, especially if they already are like kind of close to not counting. Can Moon kill you in any way? I don't think so. It's just pebbles. Well, okay, if you throw a Singularity Bomb, Pebbles will kick you out. You know, that's the bomb. But Moon doesn't do that. Moon just dies with... Moon just dies. He can't do anything. I don't know what happens if you do it in Spearmaster's time. I think you should be able to access a Singularity Bomb, right? Since there are elite scavengers. Yeah, I don't know what happens, but it makes sense if she just does the same thing as Pebbles. Incredibly rare. Yeah, I've never seen a Singularity Bomb. But even then, it's a Singularity Bomb killing you, not the Iterator. Can't drop wigs? I don't think so. They can spawn with karma flowers, which you can use to craft a singular Nirvana as Gourmand. But I mean, maybe there's like a minuscule chance, so no one's seen it before. I mean, even then, like, you come across so many drop wigs, and there's been a lot of people who played downforce, so surely one person would have seen it if it's true. So I'm gonna say that they don't. They can spawn with normal bombs though. Bombs, like most items, really. Especially the kind of items that scavengers usually like. Guardian kill. We're not killing the creatures. The creatures are killing us. And it's pretty easy for guardians to kill you. Lagging again. So this is different though, right? It's a different kind of lag. So I guess best account with OBS did something. Maybe it made it worse. If I hadn't changed the settings, maybe it wouldn't be lagging here. Maybe it would be dropping frames like it used to, where it would just freeze up completely for a longer amount of time. Okay, and now it's also buffering. Okay, I think it seems better now. So a few things about this. My internet has not been great recently. My upload speed is supposed to be about 30, whatever the unit is. 30 somethings. Is it the shelter that we stay at? I forget. I think it's this one. Yeah, you need food for that. My upload speed is supposed to be 30, whatever's. But sometimes it likes to drop down below 1. And sometimes it's closer to like 10. So, you know, it's just all over the place. Also, I'd suck at this area. I don't know if I'm doing something that's causing the upload speed to drop that low on my end, or if it's just doing that and I can't really do anything about it. But I did something else. I usually stream on YouTube and Twitch at the same time, but I changed my settings around, so now I can change that. So I'm only streaming on YouTube now. I cut off the Twitch stream. So sorry to the one person who was watching over there. Are everyone going in here? We'll see. Maybe it is the multi-stream that's causing most of the problems. So with Twitch, with the Twitch stream no longer going, if it continues to drop frames, then I know that that's not exactly the problem. But it's been fine since I turned that off. Let me know if there's any dropped frames again. This list always gets in the way. But they're gonna go around. Nope, they're gonna go exactly where I want to go. That's wonderful. I probably could have left him and he would have gone now. Okay, there we go. That's what I wanted him to do. Two types of Rain World streamers. People playing for the first time, barely knowing what to do. Well, I have over 1,000 hours in the game. Oh, another lizard. Luckily, there are a bunch of rocks in that tunnel. But yeah, when you watch some random Rain World stream, they're probably going to be stuck in outskirts for several hours. Unfortunately, the alternative of like someone who's really good at the game, who's speedrunning or doing some challenge, are those kind of streamers are less common. A lot of people play Rain World for their first time. They beat it and maybe they continue with the downpours lowcuts, but after that they don't usually continue. And I can absolutely understand when it comes to speedrunning, because this is a very RNG dependent game. And like learning the route is like pretty confusing sometimes, to have to learn all the different rooms and the movement and the creature spawns and stuff. What happens to the no creatures? That's just some weird thing with this mod. It doesn't work on in this region in particular. It's the only area it doesn't work. I don't know why. I assume that it's just because it's a new region, downpour region. Although, of course, this mod is for downpours, so... And I think it works in other downpour regions. Actually, I don't even know if I've tested that. No, I think it does, right? I've used it for rivulet runs, and it usually works in, like, submerged superstructure or bitter area. So I don't know what's up with this region where it doesn't work. But the mod isn't great at catching everything. Like jetfish tend to get by, reindeer do, of course. It'd be nice if there's a mod that just removed creatures entirely. They just can't spawn at all. Instead of whatever this mod does. So there we go. This echo is the one reason we need to shelter up in this region. Also, the stream has yet to drop any frames. It may have been Twitch that's the problem, or just multi-streaming. Which is unfortunate, because I would like to be on Twitch too. I may want to like alternate between streaming on YouTube and Twitch, but I don't really have a good way of communicating which platform I'll be on. I could post like a schedule on like on a community post. Okay, they already grabbed the scavenger. You know, that's the funny thing about this game. A lot of it is just completely optional. There's this speedrun category called the intended percent. And it's basically a survivor ascension ending, but you have to follow the intended path through the game. As if you were following Iggy, for example. Which I think I'm not exactly sure what the run involves, but you have to go to Moon at some point. I think you go up the leg to get to Pebbles. Then after getting pebbles, you go through farm arrays to get through the depth. I think that's how the route goes, although I'm not very familiar with it. He just fell off. And of course, that is a much different route than the Pebbles percent, which is just go up to Pebbles and then go back down to Outskirts, where you then go through drainage system to get to filtration, which is much faster. And then there's any percent, which is even faster than that, where you don't even meet Pebbles at all. So there's so much that you can skip. Pipe Yard is a good example of a region that a lot of people just completely miss because it's kind of out of the way. Even though it collects to, or it connects to so many different regions. You know, I've actually thought about doing some more expeditions. I haven't really touched those in quite a long time. Although I'm not really sure what I would do. If there's some sort of interesting challenge I could add on to the expedition, maybe I would try that again. That singular red centipede. I think that might have been the centipede that I got for the food quest as Gourmand. Or if you're doing an expedition and you need a red centipede kill, go to Pipe Yard. At the top of Pipe Yard, instead of the parts that connect to Subterranean and Shoreline. Closer to the connections to Sky Islands and Industrial, that's a better part of the region, I think. Probably grabbed those blue for... I could try speedrunning some of the preset expeditions. I forgot what they're called, missions. I could try speedrunning some of those. Although for those expeditions, I think you're allowed to use perks, which I kind of don't like. Because suddenly every single character kind of merges into this like Rivulet plus Artificer amalgamation. And like playing the unique characters doesn't really make a difference for gameplay. Which I kind of don't like. Although I guess, you know, it is for expedition mode, so it kind of makes sense to use the mechanic that expedition mode gives you. I think I might have forgotten to use this for the other swimming section. Pretty easy to forget about the ability if you're not doing runs actively. You don't want to do that, right? I actually don't know what the ideal route is here. If you should take the shelter closer to the moon, or if you should go back to take this shelter. I'd have to look into that. I should probably turn off wall pounces for this run. So let's, I think oh, great. Never actually attempted a speedrun. For Survivor, it's a few categories. I think the main category for Survivor is Pebbles percent. So that speedrun involves from Outskirts, you go to Industrial, Chimney Canopy, the Wall, up to 5 Pebbles, all in a single cycle from Outskirts. Once you see Pebbles, he'll give you max karma, and you can exit out of the game, which will place you back in Outskirts, but your max karma will be saved. Then from Outskirts, you go to... I don't want to go this way. From Outskirts, you go to Drainage System, down to Filtration System, down to the Depths, and That's it. That's the whole run. There's also any percent, which is pretty much the same, but you skip pebbles. The whole thing of going up to pebbles. Instead, you use a glitch to get past the guardians. Although that's not really as common in this version of the game, because in previous versions there was a really easy exploit to get past the guardians, but now you have to do something with a hazer or maybe some other items work too. But it's not as convenient or fast. So you have to go out of your way to get that item too. So I don't think many people do any percent now. But you can just like still play on older versions of the game, of course. Okay. But yeah, pebbles percent is actually pretty challenging. I might even recommend that you try to get a vulture mask. Maybe at the start of Chimney. So that way you can pretty much just ignore all the lizards. But it's definitely very rough with the creature spawns unless you take it very slow, and at that point it's not really as much of a speedrun. So I should probably not use this ability as much, just so I can save it for getting past the jellyfish. The stream has dropped some frames. That's not great. Although I guess, you know, kind of makes sense. That maybe just streaming to 2 platforms at once meant that I had to have twice the upload speed required. So now when the upload speed does dip, I don't really need it to be as high to like maintain both streams. So it needs to be way lower for it to drop frames when I'm just streaming to YouTube. That's just kind of a guess though, I'm not exactly sure. I'm turning off wall bounces. Vulture Mask isn't worth it. Yeah. I mean, we don't use it for actual speedruns. We don't get the Vulture Mask. In some speedruns, I think it's absolutely worth it to get the Vulture Mask. Like an Artificer's run. Or Spearmasters. It wasn't as bad. I may have to pick the platform then. Probably YouTube for now. Hello, Moon. Goodbye, Moon. So it takes longer to get to Moon from this shelter, but now I should be closer to where I want to go. I don't know if you guys watched the speedrun marathon. It actually just ended yesterday. I was part of that. But in that marathon, I actually saw a few runs that I thought were unoptimal. I forget which categories they were specifically. I think I'm moving faster than normal now. What category was it? It was one that went to Outer Expanse. Monk story percent. There's a few mods that are allowed for speedruns. I have the fast roll button, which lets me roll. It lets me do something that you can normally do on controller, which is why it's allowed. And the input display mod, which is why you can see what inputs I'm doing in the bottom left of the screen. But other mods aren't really allowed. They have to kind of be approved for runs, because if they mess up with actual gameplay too much, then it gives some PC players an unfair advantage, since console players can't use mods. But yeah, some of those runs that I saw in the marathon, I feel like could be improved. And I might want to try out those categories with some of the different routes that I have in mind. I think it might have been Spearmaster too. Because for when I do Spearmaster runs, I'd like to get a Vulture Mask when entering Chimney Canopy. And it makes all of Chimney and the wall much easier, especially since you have to deal with Hunter spawns. And even if you have to spend like a minute getting a Vulture Mask, it saves so much time just being able to ignore lizards later. Remix options. So there's actually on speedrun.com you can find a list of the remix options that are allowed for runs and which ones aren't. But for the most part, it's like the major assists aren't allowed, and most of the other remix options are kind of like personal preference. There's a remix option, or I don't even know if it's remix option, it might just be normal in the settings, but there's something that shows speedrun verification, which is basically when you're in a loading screen, it shows which mods that you have enabled as well as what remix settings you have on, and that's required in runs so that they can verify that you're not using any mods that might give you an advantage. But yeah, on speedrun.com for Rainworld, you can find a list of remix settings and stuff that are allowed and which ones you can't use. I don't know why I felt like picking this up. You picked that up as Gourmand, so... Or I like to pick that up as Gourmand, so I just kind of got used to it. Also, this path through Filtration is... I think it's faster, but it's also a lot easier. It usually has not that many creatures in these areas. And you don't have to go through the top of Subterranean for as long. I prefer the bottom route. There's also the route that I take as Gourmand, or actually as any category that comes into Subterranean from Shoreline. This is how I like to get down into the depths. Of course, it's not exactly the depths as Saint. Black screen. I'm a little worried that you're saying that because the stream like completely broke for some reason. I assume that you're saying it because this area is just dark. But I know now that if the game crashes, I have some like an image set up so that there's something in the background and it's not just an empty screen. Yeah, this area is dark. Okay. Making me a little worried for a second. Darkness speedrun. I am interested in trying out some modded speedruns. If they actually have like full campaigns that are interesting enough. It really depends. I think the Wanderer might be the character, or the Outsider. It's called the Outsider. The one with wings. They have really fun movement. I kind of want to speedrun them once they have a full campaign, but that might take a long time. If you set up a fast fall very quickly, it might save like a second. But once you fall far enough, your speed gets reset, so you don't really gain too much. Little tip in this area, don't accidentally grab the Guardian's body. Especially if they're about to fall into the lava at the bottom of the screen. Just don't do it. No particular reason I'm pointing that out. Just try to avoid that if you can. This room is usually really bad. With red centipede or red lizard or red anything really. There can also be some red lizards up here. Well, just like expect red creatures throughout the entirety of Rubicon. But I am taking a route through this region that is slightly easier, in my opinion. You still have to deal with Miro's vultures, of course. But they're pretty much the worst part. And there's no route that could avoid them anyway. Oh, you can really do an extended slide there? Kind of forgot that there was something in the way, but it didn't seem to slow me down too much. Also, I should definitely just fly through this area. This room could be really, or not this room, the next room can be really fun if there's a Miro's vulture on the pipe exit. It's pretty bad if this guy covers the pipe. Although you can probably push them out of the way. Well, there's white lizards, there's cyan lizards. Okay, who invited them? There's also spitter spiders, which are like kind of the weaker of the red creatures. Probably just grapple up this instead of flying. But yeah, cyan lizards are like hunter only. Well, can't really say hunter only anymore, but one of those new hunter creatures. So actually I think I'll have to wait for my ability to recharge here for a second. But yeah, they are still quite dangerous. Yep. Don't do that. And it sucks because you press grab to start flying, so that can't happen. These rooms are kind of annoying. You don't really have much space to build up speed. Ceiling's pretty low. But also, these rooms are very safe. There's not usually that many dangerous creatures here, except for snails. And snails can't even kill you because there's no water. There's like one red lizard coming up, and then there's not really any other dangerous creatures. Much better than the alternate route, I think, where you have to deal with more Miro's vultures, more red lizards, Miro's birds, a whole lot of awful things. That one room with all the orange lizards, I really hate that room. So I think I was thinking that this path is comparable in speed. Like one path isn't way faster than the other. But yeah, even if you do get popped by a snail, it'll slow you down a whole lot, even if you're not near any water. You need to make sure that you have full flight meter for this room. Yeah, it would have been better if I recharged my flight before that room. But I was looking for one, I didn't see it, so I guess I missed it. Or I started looking too late. Don't grapple up the ceiling there. Actually, probably worth it to recharge a bit here. Remember that you have to drop one below the one that you can see. And this next room is pretty much the last dangerous room. Well, it would be with if I had creatures enabled. But there's usually too much chaos in this room where the creatures are a little bit busy dealing with each other instead of just focusing on you. So it's not that dangerous. So you can see it's only a few minutes after an hour, and I did die once, right? I also didn't have enough food to shelter that one time. So, you know, there's little improvements to be made here and there that might make sub 1 hour possible. Although, I have creatures disabled. So creatures would slow you down a lot. So like just barely possible, it might just be barely possible to get sub hour in a normal run. Sometimes because of lag, that's true. I did just like stop moving for a bit, here and there. I can do this, real fun. And yeah, just improving movement overall. But I don't know if that's like 5 minutes of time save plus dealing with creatures. All right, there we go. I think I want to try a real run next, because it didn't really drop that many frames. I may be able to get away with actually doing an attempt, but I also want to test out recording at the same time as streaming. Actually, I don't know if I'll be able to start a recording. Recordings cannot be paused. Maybe not. But also, has the stream frozen at all since I stopped the Twitch stream? Because I noticed that it was like kind of doing this lag, but it never like froze for long enough to like so that you'd miss a big part of gameplay, right? Because it's only dropped 400 frames total, and if it was like kind of lagging instead of freezing for that amount of time. I do want to try a real attempt. And well, you know, even if I don't, if the stream is like, if the stream drops a bunch of frames, and it's not counted as a valid run, it's still good for practice anyway. And then I'm probably not going to get a really good run first try. Wait, let me do this in a different order because that matters for some reason. turn off wall bouncing. I don't know if there's any other settings that I wanted to change. They all look good. Game journalism. That's the mod that removes creatures. I like to use for practice. So now I will do a real attempt. Well, okay, so Iced, while you are here, I might as well ask if a run is submitted to speedrun.com that has a bunch of dropped frames in it, would that like invalidate the run? Or how much of the run has to like, how many dropped frames for it to not be counted as a valid run? Because if it just lags a little bit, it would suck to lose the run because of that, if audio is consistent. Because when it drops frames, the audio never cuts, I don't think. Sometimes it buffers for a while. That was annoying. That would probably be bad if it skipped like several minutes, but the audio usually stays consistent. So I think I want to just do a real attempt this time. No mods to help. It's extreme to the point you can't tell. Yeah, I imagine. Also, the fast roll button is up here. I wish you could just set like a position for it to be in. I'm already making mistakes. Actually, yeah, let's just reset. Only a few seconds, but it bothers me to start the run not great. But I'm pretty sure that the main cause of the problem was the multi-streaming, being on YouTube and Twitch. I just didn't have enough upload speed for both of them because my internet has not been great recently. So it should be more consistent now. I just realized I didn't really need to be fast because I'd have to wait for the popcorn play anyway. Well, I don't need this karma flower because if I die, I'm just gonna reset anyway. But if I die like right after a shelter, then it would be nice. Not want to like have to farm for karma. I could continue to run. And I can eat the karma flower right now. I actually got that slide bounce for once. And now there's actual creatures. Here they are. I think there might be something over here. Guess not. Excuse me. Well, actually, I don't know about the cherry bombs, but I know that you can actually throw boosts with spears as Saint, even though you don't throw them with full force. Throw boosting normally still works fine. Just looks kind of weird. Might as well just go underneath. I don't know what the best way to get back up is, but I guess this pipe works fine. Here we are going to Farmer is. Oh yeah, this route kind of goes back and forth for a bit. You start by going down here to get the echo, and then you go back up, and then you go back down again. Can be confusing. Sometimes I did accidentally go to the wrong way. I'm not paying attention. Grab that fruit. Goodbye. They're probably not dead. They like to fall down, but then they'll end up flying back up before they hit the death plane. That vulture is stuck over there, by the way. Oh, it's always fun to do that smoothly. But that vulture was stuck behind an invisible wall. They can spawn back there somehow. And they can never escape. So another big difference with having creatures on normally is I'll have to actually go find a yeek. I just kind of spawned one in earlier, but I can't do that now. And there's other creatures that are kind of in the way of getting that yeek. Like a Karma Lizard and a White Lizard are the main problems. I feel like Saint takes fall damage easier than the other slug cats. It's been a bit of a problem. There we go. That was good. So White Lizard check here. Karma Lizard check. Neither of them, which means they're probably down here. I think that must have been the White Lizard. Okay, so it took a little bit of time to get over here. Sometimes they can be in this room. There's the White Lizard. Yeah, I like that dude up that room. Sometimes that still happens, where I don't get the full height from the jump. Even when I'm using fast rolls. Maybe it's because I'm jumping too soon. Or before I'm even touching the ground. I think that can happen. you can start a roll pounce before even touching the ground. So maybe like if I'm not actually touching the ground, it doesn't count for the extra jump from the yeek. So I will try to not jump too early. Although sometimes you don't have enough space to wait. So I want to jump as early as possible. Or I guess I could just like hold backwards for a bit to give myself space. Okay, well, it's got body slammed. Funny how the centipedes do that sometimes. They act like they're gonna shock you, but they let go just before they do. Oh yeah, this room it might be worth it to go along the top. Also, I'm gonna drop the geek because you can just easily pick up another one on the way out, and I think they slow you down in this room. Plus, I can do this where I keep the fruit with me and eat it in the shelter. I'll head to the farm raise echo now. I don't think it really matters which one you do first. It can be annoying to actually grab the yeek if they're not in a good spot. Come back here. It might be worth it to grab the ones earlier in the room. I don't know. It's just a bit random where they are. I guess sometimes you want to do that jump if you don't want to go as far. You can time the jump as early as possible to get the other variants of it. But this room is awful. It's just filled with spiders, and the spitter spiders like to try to snipe you, so if you're not moving fast enough. I think I was moving fast enough. But then there's usually a bunch of spiders in this room. They're blocking your path. Or I guess we're always in this room, but yeah. If they move out of the way right now, that's good. That spitter spider might come over here. Okay, I think we're good. That was actually really good luck. Sometimes you might get stuck here for a long time. Next area could be a little bit dangerous if you get caught by a centipede. See, I kind of walked off the edge of the platform and I didn't get the high jump, so I think it is you do have to be touching the ground to get the yeek jump. So if you do a jump too early or too late after falling off the platform, it doesn't give you the extra height. That's my theory for now. Here's where the centipede usually is, not that one. A larger orange variant. Or a spider. Okay. They're about to do an attack, but then they let go. So that's the centipede I'm talking about. They were out of the way. And, I mean, usually you can just jump over them anyway. Bad if they're covering a pipe, though. Goodness, there's all sorts of them. Luckily, I think the echo is pacifying that one now. It should cover this room, right? That was pretty good. Fall down there. You know, that kind of reminded me. I think I want to try to make it obvious when I make a mistake. Because sometimes when watching a speedrun, especially like a world record, you don't know if it's a mistake or like some tech that you don't know about. And sometimes I like to research world record runs if I want to try to run for myself. Because I can pick up some strats that they use. And sometimes they make a mistake. And I'm like, is that just a mistake or did they do that on purpose? For some like obscure glitch that I don't know about. Like in the 90% run for the older version of the game. With the Guardian skip, you would, in one room, you would go forward and then extend the slide backwards. And then you would go back again. And like, why would you go backwards for a bit? But that's the setup for the Guardian skip. And if you don't know, it kind of looks like they're going backwards for no reason. Like, should I do that in my runs? Of course, you'd probably want to research how the Guardian skip works at all. If you want to attempt any percent. So I want to try to make it clear in my runs when I'm making a mistake and when I'm doing something on purpose. It always helps out people who want to learn by watching. I was kind of close to taking fall damage there. I don't know if it's worth it to eat these right away or to wait for... I guess, you know, there's going to be creatures in the way, so if I have to wait for them, I might as well eat while waiting. But if I can bring this all the way to the shelter, I can eat them in there and not lose any time at all. Get fish. Stuck. Probably going to die to the worm grass. Yeah, full of spiders. There's 4 of them. Now this would be very easy to deal with if I could throw spears. So I'm going to try to make some noise to get them to move around. Although they don't seem to care at all. Mool Lizard, if you would like to go down there. No, wrong way. The spiders want to make some noise. Oh, that's the wrong direction. I don't know if I can do this to get past all the spiders here. Just by throwing rocks. I guess there's only... No, there's still 3 of them in the way. Or maybe just 2. I'll try it. There are a lot of rocks here. Uh-oh. Come on, run away. Run away, run away. They're attacking me now. I can't believe that worked. They're probably gonna follow me into here. But they do get pacified in a shelter. So I like to spit out my lantern here, just so I can see when going through filtration. It may be lagging a bit. Oh, it's lagging a lot. But it looked like it was the good kind of lag. As if any lag is good at all. I'll wait here for it to clear up. Okay, seems better now. So that can still happen. It's wonderful to know. Do it. Thank you. So this next area can be dangerous. There is a red spider. Right here. They like to camp in front of the exit. Yeah, there they are. Just wanted to, I wanted to know that I'm here. Oh, now it definitely knows. Come on, go through the pipe. It just went through. Okay. Thought it's kind of lucky timing. So another annoying, I mean, I guess the ideal way to deal with that would be to throw a rock at it. And then run by while sun, but usually when I try to do that, the lizard. It's great. Hopefully, since I'm paused this whole time, it's not that big of a deal since the screen will stay exactly the same. I'm continuing the run. Just really hoping that this wouldn't happen again. I don't think it's buffering. It just seems to. Oh, okay, never mind. I don't need good luck with the speedrun. I need good luck with the stream. But I need good luck with the internet. So bitrate is kind of hovering between 0 and 500 when it should be at about 3000. And I imagine that when it's around 500, that the audio works, but the video doesn't. And it's like kind of choppy. It's going all over the place now. If I wasn't paused this whole time, well, this might still invalidate it because it's just a huge cut. Looks like it's kind of better now. A few thousand. It's still red, still dropping frames. And of course it's just gonna drop whenever it wants to. Looks like we should be fine. Still dropping frames. Not anymore. Be cool if I could just say that it was completely fixed and then it would never drop any more frames after this. Like, oh yeah, I'll submit this feed run. Don't mind the like 10 minutes of waiting in the middle of it as the internet is just dead. Completely. I might as well continue for practice. But I guess I'll just probably break some more sometime later. So I'll continue. At least it wasn't too laggy while everyone was watching. Should have extended slide there. This kelp here, just make sure to swim under it. It can't get you. Just like that one. Well, I guess it's probably the same kelp, right? It's on the ceiling that can't grab you. Of course, this isn't drainage. This is over undergrowth. I'm probably going to go into this tunnel and then get stuck, so I can't continue. Oh, they disappeared. Sometimes that happens. I don't know why. Sometimes they get stuck and you just can't continue. I also probably spent like a minute getting stuck right here, so this is an opportunity to save time. Yeah, I got through and then yeah, so I think I know the trick. You kind of have to hold just up any other direction and you will fall out of that. Yeah, I could do this from better too. So the spider in here does make it a little bit more difficult to pick up my items. Can't really do anything about them though. So there'll probably be a centipede in this room. There they are. Although it's a small one, I don't think it can get me. Yeah. It's strange that the size of centipedes is just completely random. So maybe you get bad luck and there's just a huge centipede there you can't get past. Also bad luck. That guy dropped one on your head. guess I should probably just drop down and then jump back up. I had to grapple kind of in the middle of that to jump up, but it didn't seem to work. So might as well spin. I thought usually you can't release those things by throwing rocks at them, but I guess it worked right there. Thank you for zinning with that centipede. As long as he continues, alright, we're good. And as long as I can make it up. Also, I think it's faster to go into here. No. I don't know what you should do there. You just don't want to spend too much time in those tunnels. You want to get up here as fast as possible. I'll go that way. Hello, large centipede. I really don't like this guy. Which is a way to consistently get past it. And there probably is, I just don't know about it yet. You probably can't make that jump up top. I haven't done anything. I didn't want to grapple up there, but the scavenger kind of forced me to. I do like this kind of movement where you do like the slide pounces plus, or the roll pounces plus grappling. Of course I go in the wrong way. This is where I'll probably die to a snail. No, I can get the fruit. I don't think there's any reason to hold on to, or to not hold on to the fruit here. I guess there's a few places you could do extended slides or something. But it is totally fine without them. You want to use extended slides here, though. Of course, that snail had to drop down right when I was there. Oh, there's a jetfish. Can grab the jetfish, although they are kind of dangerous because they activate the snails easily. I think I will grab them for just a little bit. If I can. For some reason, grabbing them is super inconsistent. There we go. You can head down here. That's a die to a snail randomly. Looks like it's better now. Everything this run would be invalidated. I don't think it's good to have like several minutes of just waiting in the middle. I'm pretty sure it did just like buffer for a long time there too. I might have to not stream for a while until this problem is fixed. like, I can't do anything about it. I'm like, I don't think it, okay, wrong way. I don't think it has anything to do with stream settings, because I had the same settings on for a long time, and it basically never dropped frames for like many streams in a row. Then randomly decides that, yeah, it's like not work at all for like a few streams in a row in the same exact way every time. So I think it's just an internet provider problem. They are not the most consistent on it all, as you can probably notice. I did an internet speed test just now while it was buffering while the stream wasn't working. The download speed was great. It's fantastic. No problems with download speed at all. Upload speed was like 0.5. It's supposed to be 30. So it makes sense that stream cannot work well at 0.5 upload speed. I think like 6 or like 8 is like recommended for the quality of the stream that I'm doing. It probably would have required more than that if I was also streaming to Twitch, so I imagine that was probably the problem. It's just unreasonable for me to expect to get the upload speed that I should expect. If it was 30, I could easily stream to both platforms with no problems at all. But when it's 0.5, it just does not work. And I just can't really do anything about it. So I may just have to wait until whatever problem this is, wait until it gets resolved, and then I'll be able to stream again. But it just sucks that every single stream has some point where I'm just waiting for it to fix itself for like several minutes and just completely broken. Shouldn't have jumped out of the water. And it especially means that I won't be able to do any speed runs. I guess not streaming for a bit would give me time to record some runs off stream. Actually submit some of those times that I've been able to get, like for Spearmaster and Artificer. Maybe I'll finish with this Saint one too. I don't know if I want to do more streams of this. For streaming, I just feel like I'm gonna be able to keep this up. And then it fixes itself and it's totally fine. Like of course since like before that Shellspring Shoreline stream has been working perfectly fine. No problems at all. I probably could have been on Twitch too and it would work. It's just whenever it feels like it drops all the way down below 1. No idea what the bot is gonna look like. It's just gonna like cut past those parts where it was just completely frozen. If that's what happened, because I noticed that the bit rate was at like about 500, hovering around that range for a long time. This might have just been like a really low frame rate. while that was happening. There could be Murals Vultures in this room. I think that's actually one right here. Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen one of those in that room. I mean, this was my first attempt to do this run since the practice attempt. So I guess if I'm consistent enough, I can just record an attempt on my own. I'd probably not take too long. Although it depends on my goals. If I'm going for sub-hour, then it's probably going to take a lot more attempts just to get a good run going. For like RNG and stuff. Not even like if I die or not. For like Artificer and Spearmaster, getting a good run is about not dying. For like Saint and Rivula, it's about getting lucky and like being like consistent with your movement. Also, I always forget I need to eat food here. I think I can grab the blue fruit. Yeah, there's fruit here. But this is enough. I consider going to the slime mold, but let's hope that these blue fruit are enough. I need one more. I don't think there's anything else to eat in this area. In which case I would have to go, like I've already gone too far to go back to the slime mold, but I should remember for the future to eat the slime mold there. There's plenty of other things to get on the way back. And I can't starve because I'll have to stay in this shelter after seeing the echo. For any fruit that might be in these two rooms, although I don't really remember there being any. Yeah, I'll still have to continue forward. So this is another time save, future time save, not a time loss. Although I also got lucky with the blue lizard not being here. If I could eat these nitro mines. For the speed run. So I have to go all the way up here. Oh no, some friends arrived at the same time. Guess it's not really as slow going on their way back compared to getting up to those fruit. Still a pretty big time loss, like a minute or so. And considering how close we were to sub-hour, then like a minute is probably important. But also, like, I've probably already lost too much time waiting for the lizards or like spiders in subterranean for this to be a sub-hour run anyway. That waterfall there kind of pushes you down. Look out for creatures here, especially the blue lizard or the troll lizard. There they are. Yeah, they started moving immediately. They decided not to troll today. Also, I saw someone in the chat just now, but I can't actually continue to read it in game. Because it's the chat that I have displayed does not want to update. So give me a second before I can actually read that. Also, I have no idea when you originally posted that. It may have been like 10 minutes ago. There's some spiders in here. That's always fun. I think the spiders in this scenario, they're usually dead. For some reason, maybe the cold, maybe the echo. Although I don't think the echo would affect that far away. I can check after hitting this echo. It's annoying when you do a wall jump in that kind of, maybe like up against a wall. They just jump straight up, but you do a wall jump instead. I just climb the pole for a bit, right there. I can check now. What am I doing? Oh, there we go, there's the chat. This is a Saint 40% speedrun. I guess this is spoilers if you haven't played Saint before, or Rain World in general. But it has been an unfortunate run because the internet keeps dying, so the stream keeps buffering. So it does not count as or I don't think it's a run that I can submit because of all the lag. It's been working now, but like at any moment it could just like break immediately and buffer for another like 10 minutes. So this is more of a practice run at this point. See how far he gets pushed down by that water. Troll lizard returns, except maybe they'll get baited by the lantern mouse. Nope, they're immediately scared. That's exactly what I wanted them to do, though. To chase after them. It's thinking about it. It drops specifically 19 frames. Oh, it's going more. I guess, you know, at this point, I don't really care. It drops even more frames. It's like already been invalidated completely. Also, I always forget to use this flight once I unlock it. But it is, I mean, it's probably not that useful in these areas. Maybe for this, oh, wrong way, wrong way. You want to go up here. And once you fly enough, it starts giving you the tutorial. Dropped a few frames. It's either dropping like 20 frames here and there, or like completely freezing for 10 minutes. Whatever it feels like doing. That spitter spider. Fly up, it was fine. I think it is faster to use the grapple to gain height rather than play it, so whenever you're able to. Which I do actually really like. how it's like flying doesn't immediately replace all of your other movement. It's worth using other things too that are actually faster. But also being able to fly is such a strong ability that it does of course end up being useful. Too far. Now we just head back down. Subterranean is quite difficult still, so there's no guarantee that I won't die going through there. Also, I will try to stay in the other shelter immediately. So I'm not sure which one is faster. I guess I'll have to test that out specifically. It probably doesn't really save too much time if you pick the wrong one. I'll eat this food. Not the lantern mouse. I want the fruit. Not the fruit, the slime. You know what I mean. Sorry about that. Maybe there's some better food to eat since I actually want to eat the slime mold on the way to Pebbles. Not just Pebbles, the Sonic Construct. So you can serve as much of this as possible. So I do want to. Well, actually, I'll be staying in a shelter, so it doesn't matter. I can use as much as I want up until I get to that shelter. There we go. Doesn't really take that long to get over here, but you are moving backwards, which is like one thing I'm worried about. That might make this path slower. That you do have to spend a bit of time moving backwards, essentially. It's also technically still progress. Time that you're moving towards subterranean, that you'll eventually will get that time. This area can be a bit annoying because of the jellyfish. Might as well stay down the whole time, right? Sometimes I forget that I'm not Rivulet and I can't just swim underwater the whole time. Just have to time my swim boosts so that I don't drown. Don't get close to drowning. It's not really slows you down a lot. I'm not gonna use up all of my ability here. I need to save some of it for jellyfish. I'll let it recharge for a bit. Probably enough. Maybe it's worth it to like swim under this room, but you can also like grapple across the top. Like feels pretty fast. I don't know if it's actually better. Ooh, lagging again. Just a little bit though. It's kind of thinking about it. Like, do I want to break the stream again? Maybe. You know what? Actually, it's probably faster to go along the bottom of this room because you can just swim, right? Okay, not if you do that. Just do this. And then you just like jump up. Sometimes the gravity can really slow you down going along the top of this room. Okay, really? About to run away. Can't escape Saint. Maybe I should get splits for this category. I think I actually already have splits. Maybe just for any percent. I don't know about story percent. I don't know how long it takes to get from here to Rubicon and then from there to the end. Probably not sub-hour though. Because it seems like you'd have to be really clean in like all aspects of the run to get that. It means that it's a fun goal to work towards eventually, but I'm probably not going to get it on my first try. Oh, Jetfish, I no longer need you. Probably not use up all the meter. I'll never really know what to call this. Of course, there's never ever any items there to swim boost or to do an extended slide with. Also, some people call that a slide boost, maybe? Or maybe I'm making that up. So I already took like a minute or a little bit over a minute to get to here. It's probably a good idea to shelter before going to subterranean because it's quite dangerous. But once you get to Rubicon, it saves automatically. But then from there, you can actually just make it to the end in a single cycle. Oh, maybe it depends on the random length of a cycle. But I will not be sheltering. Really want to focus on just building up speed in the beginning and then cruise with that for the rest of the room. This area I'm probably going to do this roll pounce thing. And from here I can swing more. That's a large centipede. I think I don't need to interact with it at all. Nearest room. Let me just go above. Okay. I debated dying to a red centipede. Considering it. Oh man, why isn't it following me? There we go. Yeah, I'm probably gonna get launched out. I would not have a dead red centipede in the way in this tunnel because it'd be impossible to push out of the way. Well, maybe not impossible, but who knows how hard that would be. Molars check. Dropwake check. I had no idea there could be a dropwake there. Well, there goes the run. I want to time this later then if I don't die again. I had no idea there could be a dropwake there. Well, this is exactly why you need to do practice with creatures as much as without creatures. Knowing where those dangerous creature spawns are. I mean, I feel like a dropwake could have been anywhere, really. They didn't just have to be in that one spot. And they won't always be in that one spot, but I guess now that I know that they can be there, I should check in advance. Or just like running forward. Trying to practice restore percent. First run to the wall is rough. Now, I'm able to make that the trip up to the wall in a single cycle because I've done like hundreds of attempts. I'm not. Of course, I don't know anything about your skill level or how consistent you are with that character. But you don't need to. You don't need to make that in a single cycle. It's not necessary. When I'm going for a world record run, I try to go for like everything that can save even a little bit of time, right? If you just want to like beat the run, like absolutely take a shelter in the middle for that journey. But of course, that depends on what your goals are. If you want to go for a really good run, like low 30s, then that's something that could help. And where I think it's really worth it to try to practice some of the movement. Because there are a handful of movement tricks that you can take advantage of to make that a lot easier to make it to the wall. I don't like scavengers here. So not every risky strategy that I use is necessary for the run. But it depends on your goal. But it's nice that you are attempting Riv. It's not a very popular character to speedrun for some reason. I don't know why. I love the movement for Rivulet. It's like really fast, and when people play Rivulet, they're like, okay, that was just me being bad. I could have gotten into that faster, or just waited for them to pass. But when people play Rivulet for the first time, they're like, oh man, speedruns for this character are gonna look sick, and it does look sick. But not many people run them for some reason. If any of the wall bounces, that's great. So yeah, the more like Riv running there is, the better, I say. So good luck with that. Of course, I think that even my world record is a bit outdated. So I want to improve that eventually. Never do the extended slides here for some reason. Also, the plink, not necessary at all. I've made it to the wall without the plink. And if you mess it up, you just lose time. So it's usually worth it just to not attempt it, unless you really want to practice it and try to get consistent. It's like the least consistent tech that Rivulet has. And I have attempted to get consistent at it, but it just does not feel like we can ever get to that point. But what I do now is I attempt the plink once, and if I mess it up, I just continue. Because you don't lose that much time, because most of the time that you lose is like having to go back and set it up. Only made it without the plink, yeah. So I don't recommend using it. But it is fun when like showing off the category. Hello, large sympathy. It is fun to show off the plink. It's real funny. Just see how much speed you can get from grappling like that. If you have enough room to fall. Not clear. It's probably going to be something right here, like this caramel. Yeah, come over here. Now there's Miro Spurs. At least he got rid of that large centipede. This is all because of a single drop word. They're still here. I should check. There's always going to be a drop wig somewhere around here, it seems. You can't see the pipe. And I missed the rocket point blank range. That pipe is kind of weird because you can't actually see the pipe the whole way through. So you don't know when the lizard is going to come out of it. I probably would recommend taking the shelter before subterranean. If you're doing this casually. Oh, I suppose... Are any speedruns casual? You never grab onto that pole, even if I'm holding up. I want to practice getting from that shelter all the way to Rubicon without any shelters, so that's why I'm not doing it. Casual speedrunning. Yeah, usually it's like casual players and then speedrunners. That's a separate thing. What I'm trying to differentiate is going for like a world record to just like having fun and like seeing how fast you can beat the game. Because speedrunning is actually pretty slow. Like if you're like resetting attempts to try to get the perfect luck, or if you're like learning strats and like doing all sorts of that sort of stuff, it all takes time. It's like pretty slow. But if you just want to beat the game, if you just want to open up the game and like beat it without too much preparation, I'd say that's like the casual speedrun. And if someone like comes up to me and asks like, I want to speedrun this character, what should I do? I would tell them that like casual speedrun route, you know. Like, okay, I take this shelter, take these routes, you know. I need to risk these like really fast routes that I would tell someone to. I would tell someone to take those routes if they're going for world record, or if they want to like compete, you know. Not grab that grapple. Yeah, just grab that caramel, and we're all good.